back to Spooky Intel. My name is Kylie.
My name is Tawny.
Today is a very special episode. As you can see, it is our Halloween episode. Today is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
If any of you are new and have never listened to us before, we are Spooky Intel. Basically what we do is we each find a story that interests us, and then we tell it to each other day of, and all of our reactions are genuine. These aren't we're not paid actors or anything, so
I wish. Really good actor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Great. I wish I was a paid actor. I do any sort of commercial.
There you go. Denture cream.
So we have a new voice with us today. Some of you, not really new, but you've never been able to hear him before, and we've never been able to subtitle him because I can't even hear him when I'm editing. Today we have our producer, Cole. Cole, do you want to say anything about yourself or your other stuff that you do?
Yes. Hello, people of the universe and of the Spooky Intel universe. Welcome. I'm Cole. I'm the man behind the camera. You can call me many things. You can call me the fishing elephant. You can call me...
That's a pretty neat name.
Question mark, like not actual God, but like God, is that you up there? But no, just the gentleman sitting here behind the camera, hanging out, helping these girls achieve greatness. And I have a spooky mastery that will come ahead. So yeah, no, just excited to have you guys on here. Obviously, thank you for helping out with the rest of our brand. If you haven't checked out, shameless promotion coming up here. Beers and Bullshit or the Fishing Elephant Sports Channel. But those are the second and third best productions on our brand. So I will kick it back to the main show itself, ladies, and I'll chime in when I want to.
Thanks, Cole.
Wow, that was flattering. That was very flattering. So basically, today, all of our stories that we are going to be telling you are all Halloween revolved, because what else would we talk about today? Honestly.
Christmas?
I mean,
I'm
you
sure
could,
there are
I
some
mean,
horror
you
stories
look
on
like you
Christmas.
could talk about either one. Me, probably not so much.
I like Halloween a lot more than Christmas. Christmas is so stressful for
sure.
some reason.
Because you have to
I just
buy
can't.
presents for people, family members,
Like a new person
friends.
gets added to the list every single time.
And it's like, dude, I'm not made of money. I'm not. It's rough, but
Yeah, it's like hard when people are like, I thought of you when I saw this, and I'm just like, okay, I got you some. It's like you don't want to get somebody something like generic.
yeah,
Something
right.
that's so common, but it's just like, oh, you put thought into this. Man, should I do my research, like scroll through your Facebook, like what do you like? And then I have to like go like on some fancy shop or something, because then I'd feel bad. You know, Walmart would have those like things where it was like the like off-brand like body washes and like makeup and stuff, and it was like $5-10. I would always hate those things. Like I absolutely hate them.
I know, and then you feel bad
then you
for
feel-
hating them because like
Well,
somebody
when
was
I
like,
would get them, I'm like, oh, that's so nice, but then I would never use it.
yeah, same. I mean, that's I think the whole
I'm
point
grateful. I'm not a greedy person. Whenever it comes to like Christmas, what do you want? I'm just like, I don't know. Like you.
Yeah,
only-
right. Money. I don't really care.
Yeah, laundry
think of anything
detergent,
else. Groceries.
stuff like that.
Who doesn't know what you want?
A VCR.
Honestly, though, as long as you put
VCR.
thought into it, coming from a woman's perspective, as long as you put thought into it, I don't really think it matters.
Listen, my first boyfriend ever. Well, I wouldn't even consider him my boyfriend. I was 14 years old. Okay. And his name was Tyson. And I was like, oh, I got to like this guy because I'm obsessed with chicken. So I'm like, oh, Tyson. That sounds crazy. Anyways, so one time we were like swinging in like our, school's like playground, and he goes, I'm going to the mall. Would you like me to grab you anything? And I was like, no, that's okay. And he comes back and he has these like bright blue, like those finger gloves. And I was just obsessed. I was like, oh my God. I like put them on. I'm swinging on the swing set. Like, out with these bright blue finger gloves, and my mom was like, what the hell are you wearing? Like, and I was just like, oh, my boyfriend gave him. She's like, you don't have a boyfriend. I was like, okay. And then we had like, I think it was like a Justin Timberlake song was our song. He's like, we have to have a song.
Good old JT.
And it was like I think it was God, was it? I think it was My Love. I think that's what it was.
Oh,
that what it's called? Yeah,
Wow.
it's fantastic.
That is a middle school love song.
Yeah, it was so
I don't even
great.
think I remember
so
that
great.
song.
But no, like every time, like when it comes to not even just Christmas, but my birthday, when it like my parents' parent is like, what do you want? And I collect VCRs. I have VCRs from when I was a child. I have like at least 10 VHS movies that are like still wrapped in the plastic with the price tag on them. And I'm always like, I want a VCR. And I had like my sister give me one, my brother give me one, my mom give me one, and they all broke like within the same time frame that I like use them. Like it was so crazy. And so I'm always like, I want a VCR. Like that's the only like fancy thing. It may not seem fancy, but they're expensive nowadays for like
'cause
a
they're so
nice
hard to
working one.
find.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, never been picky with gifts. It's just like,
Well, have you been picky with candy?
candy, yeah, for sure.
Well, talking about candy and reeling it back in about Halloween. So today, Tawny has a few more stories than I do. So she's going to start us off with what she found.
Yeah, so I have like 3 short stories. And I just thought it would be fun rather than just focusing like on just like one story, just kind of have like a different breakdown. So it kind of just like it's like, ooh, different
Ooh,
stuff going
wow.
on here. Ooh, wow.
Spicy.
Okay. So I just watched Dune last night, and I did not read the books. Like on HBO, I like watched the Dune movie.
I don't think
It was
I've
super
ever
good,
heard
but
of
they're like
them.
the spice. I'm like, what is the spice? And then I wasn't paying attention. Anyways, so first I'm going to talk about the architect's key. I can't talk today. So here we go. There was once a man named Edward who designed and built his own perfect house. He lived in it for many, many years until he eventually passed away. So then a new family moved in shortly after. But whenever they went into the basement where Edward's personal study was, they would get this feeling that someone was watching over them. So one day, the father of the family that just moved in had decided to fix up an old jacket in which a tailor in town had told him was beyond repair. So then he went down to his old study, laid that jacket on the chair, and then tried to see if there was anything in the old desk that could help him mend it. So the drawers were all locked, and he couldn't find a key anywhere. That next morning, he came down to find the key on the desk. All of the drawers were open, and his jacket was completely fixed. And that's all I got for you. So it kind of keeps that like, well, what the hell happened? So that's crazy. Could you imagine like actually waking up and then just seeing all these drawers open? You're like, I didn't find the key.
Where's the key?
Like, where's the key? How did this happen? What's hiding in the desk? Did something like sneak out of the desk? I don't know. So I did more research into that, and it was still just saying the same thing. Just that was it. Cut it off at that point. Crazy. So the next story I have, it's based off this book called The Haunted Stories, and this part in the book is called Haunted House. And so a preacher goes to this haunted house where, and this is supposed to be based on a true story. So a preacher goes to a haunted house where nobody has ever stayed the night because of the intense hauntings that have been happening there. This preacher lights a fire and starts reading his Bible and waits. At midnight, he hears a bang by the cellar and hears footsteps, but they go away. Then he hears them again, and a dead 20-year-old woman comes into the room. She has no eyes, and the flesh on her face is rotten. This reminds me of Jeepers Creepers. She has no eyes, and the flesh is rotten. Her face is rotten. She tells the preacher that a man murdered her and had dumped her body in the cellar, and that he must find her bones and bury her properly. The preacher brings the bones to the church the next day, and a man touches a finger bone and it sticks to his hand. He admits that he committed the murder. So that's crazy how the fact that like she sticks her finger out, this guy comes and he admits that he committed the murder and her bone just sticks to him. That's kind of creepy. Could you imagine just boom, I'm seeing a dead person that I murdered. Now I'm going to confess. Their bones are literally sticking to me. Crazy.
I got so into that story.
Yeah.
There's like a
how did your Tuesday go?
Yeah. Well, you know.
something like one of these springs just went off.
But apparently the preacher
Scared
did
the
bury
shit
the
out of me.
woman's body properly, and she rests in peace now. But crazy. Crazy. Next is the Hotel Cecile in Los Angeles, California. So yeah, so I've heard a lot about this story. So the facts that I researched and I found was, so more cursed. This is what I found in an article based on it was more cursed than haunted. Downtown LA's Hotel Cecile got such a bad rap that it actually changed its name to Stay on Main. If you're a true crime and paranormal superfan, you've likely heard of this. So, let's see, the first recorded death by suicide in 1931 this was at the hotel, was followed by a long string of similar deaths in 1932, 1934, 1937, 1938, 39, and 40. At some point in the 30s, one man was pinned to the exterior wall by a truck. A woman murdered her newborn in the building in 1944, and the pattern of suicides continued in the 60s. In 1962, a woman jumped from the 9th floor window and landed on a pedestrian, killing them both. It's worth noting that the two of the women who died by suicide apparently jumped while their husbands were asleep in the room. And then from there, in 1964, tenant Goldie Osgood was brutally murdered, a crime which has remained unsolved. Next, in the 80s, the infamous serial killer Richard Ramirez murdered, a crime which... Yeah, the Night Stalker stayed at the hotel, and in the 1990s, an Austrian serial killer, Jack Unterwege, lived there. Other weird things kept happening, but the weirdest is definitely the disappearance and death of 21-year-old traveler Elisa Lam. A few weeks after Lam went missing, her body was discovered in the rooftop water tank after visitors and tenants complained about a funky taste. They later found odd footage of her in the elevator from the night of her disappearance. It's difficult to make out what she's doing, but it looks like she's either playing hide and seek with someone outside the elevator, or she's frightened and attempting to hide from someone, but the doors won't seem to shut. Authorities ruled the death accidental drowning, but because you need a key to access the roof, many suspect foul play.
And the Los Angeles Police Department has never been on record ever messing up anything in police work, so you can totally trust them as far as this is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's insane. Could you imagine? And then you're just watching this footage, and she's just like yelling outside of the, like, not yelling, but like outside the elevator, like playing hide and seek with somebody.
Well, I watched.
Because it looks like she's tripping on something.
Yeah, I
It
watched.
looks like she's having a second.
I watched a documentary about it, and yeah, that's what a lot of people say is somehow she got so like fucked up on drugs that somehow she ended up in the water tank. But
you know what's funny is, like, if somebody's able to get their 15 minutes of fame, and I'm not just making this like assumption and saying like standing by this, but I feel like a lot of times if, say, somebody committed a crime or something, you know, happened to them and it was in regards of a suicide or whatnot, they try to act as if they know this person. Oh yeah, they were on drugs, they were doing this, like they were just a weirdo, they were awkward, blah blah blah. Just to make it seem more true and believable, and that it was like that would make sense, because it's like, well, you know, was that really the case, or did something like kind of just take over?
right.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, that is one of the crazier documentaries that I've watched too, because you watch the documentary itself and you watch like the videos and stuff of her, and it just, I don't know. Still doesn't make sense, even though they ruled it as like an accidental suicide. It just,
there's just some sort of a
Still
disconnect there that people don't do enough research on, where it's like they just, you know, want to say that it's an illness, there's something wrong, but I don't know. I feel like there's more to it than we actually know.
yeah.
It's very
Spooky.
That's what we're known for. Okay, so today I am going to be talking about a event that happened on Halloween in, I believe, the 70s. Pretty sure.
Is it the actual Halloween massacre in Haddonfield, Illinois? So, set the stage, 1962, Halloween. 6-year-old Michael Myers slays his entire family in his house, starting
Nope.
with his sister upstairs.
This is actually a true story.
The POS stepdad downstairs. I like the new Rob Zombie movies better. I honestly do.
Yeah.
But then, after spending the next 12 years in an insane asylum, Michael returns on Halloween night in 1978 to enact his revenge on the town that cast in the sky.
Have you seen the new Halloween movie?
No. No, I have not.
Seen Halloween Kills, and here is all I'm going to say about that is every time they reference or say the phrase "tonight it dies" or "tonight he dies," take a shot and you will be drunk as shit.
I have to watch that still.
Not a bad continuation to the Halloween series, but I'm also kind of like a B-rated horror fanatic. So anything that goes along, especially with they kind of touched on a lot of the past Halloween movies, kind of started wrapping some stuff up, which I think in the new canon is like maybe just 1 and 2 is what it's kind of looking like. But still, they kind of go back, get a little bit more backstory on Michael Myers and everything, a little bit of backstory on the cops, and just add a little bit more background because honestly, it all takes place once again in one night, so you kind of have to fill in a little more time.
Gotcha. That kind of reminds me of Scream 4 when they had Emma Roberts in that one. Yeah, kind of go along with the same thing.
A lot of backtracking.
Yep.
Okay. So this is actually a true story that's happened. Back in 1977 on Halloween night, 19-month-old Nema Louise Carter was abducted from her parents in her home in Lawton, Oklahoma, but her parents didn't check on her all night long, basically, and didn't realize that she had disappeared in the middle of it. And so, basically, what had happened was Rose and George Carter, they believed in the system, I'm sure you've heard of this, where you let your child cry it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people that do that. I don't shame anybody that believes in that. People parent how they want to parent. I'm not a parent, so not my place to judge. But that was a method that they believed in, and I hate to say it, it's something that they regret every day. Most of the time, at least. I don't know if they're still alive or not, but they did regret it. Because in the middle of the night, Nema Louise disappeared. It didn't make sense to the family at all because all of the doors were locked, all of the windows in the nursery were locked. Basically, any possible entry that they could have had into the house was locked. So George believes that somebody was hiding in the house, and it was somebody close to their family. So in the morning after Halloween, Rose had asked George if he had seen their daughter because she went to the crib and it was empty. They searched around the house, and then that's when they kind of realized that their daughter had just was gone.
Was taken.
Yeah. And so basically that was why they regretted not ever checking up on her. So it's funny because the day before Thanksgiving, this isn't funny. I'll get to why I say it's funny,
No,
but it's
I get
not
the
funny.
context that you made it.
It's not funny at all whatsoever. But what
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence. Weird timing kind of thing. So the police searched Lawton for about a month for Nema, and they never found any evidence of the linking. The parents were the prime suspects at first because, they were home. Their child just goes missing when they're home and they don't even notice it. It's pretty obvious that they would become a prime suspect in the case.
Definitely.
One, if it's marriage, the
Usually, yeah.
And if it's a kid, unfortunately, you always want to look home first. You always want to look to the
Right.
parents, you want to look to the stage parent or close family
Yep.
member.
They pass lie detector tests. I mean, from what it sounds like, if you know how to do your breathing right,
That's what
and
I'm gonna.
shit,
That's what I was
like,
gonna say. Is
you
like
can
sometimes
pass a
people
lie detector
know,
test,
like,
but they passed it, so it cleared them, and so they basically had no evidence linking anybody to any of the child being kidnapped at all. So the day before Thanksgiving, a group of children claimed that a little child's body had fallen out of this fridge in this abandoned house.
okay.
So they went and found a fort soldier, and he investigated the fridge and basically had confirmed that yes, it was a child's body that had fallen out of this fridge. So the coincidence that I'm going to talk about is about a year before, two children, about 3.5 years old, by the names of Augustine Tina Jacqueline Carpitcher and her twin sister Mary Elizabeth, had been found in a freezer as well 2 days after they had been abducted.
And where did this take place again? Like which state?
Oklahoma. Lawton, Oklahoma. So these both happened in the same town, which is weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after being trapped for 2 days, Mary passed away. She suffocated. And Tina managed to survive. She ended up being able to find some type of air source and managed to tell the police who had done this to them. And it come to find out it was, what was her name? Jackie Robidoux. So Robidoux was 16 years old and had...
Is it Robidoux or Rubidoux?
Rubidoux. I don't know. Is it Rubidoux?
R-O-B-I-D-E.
It's Roubid.
I think it's Rubidoux.
Okay, well, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's
We just
French.
have a couple of
think.
them in the area, just obviously the French Native American connection. Quite a few French last names in the area, so
Yeah.
I've known a couple of Rubidouxs.
I've never met one, so thank you for the correction, because I've never
Watched
known how to
Ratatouille.
pronounce that name.
Listen, I watched the first movie.
I've seen the movie with the rat. I know how to cook, too, by the way.
Have you ever even heard of the UN? Okay. Pepe Le Pew, look it up, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, Pepe Le Pew is actually canceled because he's a sexually harassing cartoon character
A
now.
lot of cartoons should be canceled. Who's the big chicken? I say yes, sir. I say yes, sir. That fucker's hella racist.
Oh, for sure. I think I'm
what was
sure
the
he's
one?
canceled.
With the like short guy that had the big hat, the ginger mustache,
Oh,
and
you
then
said
he was
he's
always.
canceled.
Is that it?
Yeah, you
I don't
said
think he's
canceled.
canceled.
No, the
No, he's the new Space Jam.
Yeah.
no,
Pepe Le Pew was not.
there was something in that show that was like talked about how it was not okay. Oh God,
The homeboy was carrying pistols around and shooting them off everywhere.
Oh,
could be
maybe.
that.
Could be that.
That could possibly be it. That's not good gun safety. That is like alcohol level gun safety right there.
Anyway, back to this.
I read on that.
So, back
Crazy.
to the Rubidoux. So basically, Jackie was 16 years old and she was a babysitter to these twin girls, and somehow she had lured these girls into an abandoned house and locked them in an old refrigerator for about 2 days before they were found. But even
Lured
with
them in and then just froze them to death.
tried to, apparently.
Okay.
But even with the twin that survived, even with her witness statement, like nothing happened to this girl for 3 years. So she was an adult by the time they went to trial, which I hope she was tried as an adult. I'm pretty sure she was. So she actually, fun fact, it's not fun. I don't know why I keep using like positive descriptions for
People know
this.
what you
It's not
mean.
fun. You know?
Fun fact, there was blood everywhere and semen on the scene. It took investigators over 7 days to clean up. Fun fact of the day.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Don't listen, Nicole. That didn't happen. The fun fact that I had, coincidental fact, I should say, because nothing is fun about the situation. Jackie was also a babysitter for the Carpitchers. or not the Carpenters, that's the twins. The Carters.
Okay.
The Carters, which was the little girl that went missing on Halloween. I guess George had always denied that it could possibly be her because he didn't believe that such a shy, quiet, sweet girl could ever do something like that. But
That's how they get you.
2 months before, so around the time I think that they hired, or a little, maybe after, let me look. Where did my... So... Around the time that the Tina Carpenter happened was when they hired her as a babysitter. And basically he denied that she could ever do this because she seemed sweet, she seemed quiet, blah, 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 blah. But the weird thing is 2 months before the abduction happened in the Carter home, somebody had poisoned their dog. An unknown person had poisoned the family dog. I don't know if the dog passed away or not. It doesn't. I couldn't find.
Do you think maybe it was her and she was like testing to see how the dog would react if it was effective
I don't
or
know.
not?
I feel like poison seems to be.
Red Dragon, one of the Hannibal movies. The guy would go in and take care of the family pet beforehand as like a test.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like just to see if it was effective or not.
Yeah. So there was that. But the baby apparently passed away because of asphyxiation. So, not poisoning. And then the other thing that happened just like a few days after the dog thing happened, they were robbed. Like somebody broke into their house and vandalized it and shit. They didn't have any suspects though because they didn't really have any enemies, so they suspected it was somebody that could get into their home. Well, who else would have a fucking key to your home possibly around that time? I feel like a babysitter is somebody that would...
Was there a lot stolen, or was it just vandalized? Like
no, I think it was mostly vandalized. I don't really know if they took
just
anything valuable or not. Yeah.
Make a statement in some sort of way.
So... Even though they've like passed the lie detector test, like the cops still suspected them. They couldn't do anything about it though because they were cleared by the FBI because they cleared their lie detector
because
tests.
they don't have enough evidence. But at the same time, do you think that like, what if she went through those lengths? Because if you're just wanting to, kill somebody and like have it be over with, but she's like almost vandalizing their home, poisoning their dog, whatever, if it was her, whatnot. Like, what if she had an affair?
Right.
With the husband. And then she was upset, and so she reacted in that way.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You're right. I mean, I was going to say she's only 16, but pedophiles are a thing. So.
Yeah. Or she could have been in love with him. Like in love with him, like the husband. Yeah. I've seen a lot of Lifetime movies.
My mom watched hella Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
It's always a crazy babysitter.
Yep.
Or it's a Christmas movie about coming back home for Christmas and falling in love with this girl you used to go to
the Hallmark.
Yep. Prom with or something like that. Yeah.
For sure.
There was that movie where that lady literally held this dude at gunpoint and was like, "You're going to be my date to Christmas dinner. I'm not dealing with no date again." And I was like...
Is that Holiday and Handcuffs?
I think so, yeah.
I love that movie where she's like going crazy because he was supposed to come with her to her family's cabin like for Christmas, and he was just like, actually,
fucking weird,
I don't want to do
She,
that. Like, I'm not there. And she's like, but you said yes. He's like, yeah, that's because we did stuff whenever you asked me. And then, like, all of a sudden, she was, like, she went to, like, the bathroom. Like, he was like, we should break up. And she's like, what? You're not breaking up with me. And then that guy walks in, and it was Mario Lopez. And then she grabs this old gun that's, like, showcased on the wall in the restaurant. Falls, knocks himself out on the ice. They end up falling in love. Beautiful.
Speaking of Lifetime and Mario Lopez, have you seen the Kentucky Fried Chicken short left film?
No.
No. What? No.
After this, you need to look up the 27 masterpiece that is Mario Lopez playing sexy Colonel Sanders. It's amazing.
Dude, there's already a
There's
simulator with
too many, like...
sexy Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, they're, like, just
sure.
trying. And I'm like, I'm still not, like, oh, KFC. Like...
It's a simulator.
Hell no.
How lonely do you have to be to make a simulator? I think, actually, I don't know if it's a Game Grumps thing or not. I think it is. I just think it's funny, like, why... What? Why? Where did the Colonel become sexy at all? Like, where do you see him and you're like, wow, that's
Well, he's like
looking,
orange.
finger licking
He's
good
just,
over
like,
there.
Okay, first of all, the Colonel is very well manicured. Like the mustache.
The haircut.
Maybe it's just the age. I don't know.
He's tanning. He's making time to go to a
I like
tanning
older
bed.
men, but not like that old.
I once knew a girl, and it's not the same girl that I continuously talk shit about. But I did know a girl once upon a time who definitely liked older guys. Like we had.
I thought you were gonna say that wanted you to role play as.
I mean, I know girls that are like that, but.
And literally the next dude she started dating was like a 53-year-old man, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" This dude's like,
It's like, can you just like color your hair silver and then walk with a cane
bleach
and
it.
complain about having glaucoma?
FRAA, that spells. Oh, that's
Do
the
you have
credit
AARP?
report. That's the credit report song. Anyway, we're reeling it back in. So, Robidoux was questioned for sure in Nima's death because she was somebody that was close to the family. She was one of the last people seen at the crime scene. Like, that's the similarities in the two cases as well, is she was seen at both crime scenes, like, right before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't understand how, because when she was asked about where she was on Halloween, she told the authorities that she had been playing bingo somewhere. And then
16-year-old playing bingo.
yeah, so she said nothing that would indicate her intentional like guilt, but she like wouldn't look them in the eyes. She was always looking somewhere else. She was always looking at the ground, at her feet. Like, she just, I can tell when people are lying, and that's one of the major signs, is they won't look at you. They won't look you in the eye. I can always usually tell when that is your tick, because I am a very big eye contact person.
I'm not a good eye contact person at all, though. I'm always looking around. People are like, "What's behind me?" And I'm like, "Nothing." I just circle the room.
I'm like a meerkat in that sense, where I'm like, hey. But at the same time, I'm always like, I don't know, for some reason, I think I have it drilled in my brain that like that's a part of being polite, is having eye contact. I don't know why. I think it was something my grandparents taught me, maybe.
It's weird because for me, I almost feel like I'm being rude if I like stare at somebody too long. I'm making too much eye contact, so I like look around. So then I'm like, if you want to look away, you don't feel like you have to just like stay zoned into me too. I don't know. I'm awkward.
No, I get that. So, well, apparently, according to this retired police detective that handled this case, Jackie, basically was the most likely suspect in the death, but despite her connection to that other case. So, like, mind you, this little girl had told the police that this girl had trapped them in a freezer, and then this is how the other child dies. Isn't it another? That's the same similarities. I don't know if it was the same abandoned home, but it was in an abandoned home in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
And children found them while playing in them. So, like, come on. So, I don't know. She was just the district attorney never charged her with that death, but she was tried for murder for the death of Mary Carpitcher, the other girl, the twin that did not make it. And so this case was actually brought up during that court case, because remember, this happened the year after the twins case, and it took 3 years for the twins case to go to court. So the
That's just so ironic.
offensive team, I think that's the word I'm looking for. So the offensive team used this case against her to charge her for murder, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so even the Carpitcher's neighbor, Thelma McKay, she testified as well, and she said that she witnessed Jackie dragging the girls from their home the night of April 8th.
What did she do?
Yeah, like, why?
Like, you just see this going on, and you're just like, well, I'm not gonna do
Guess
anything.
the
I'll
girls
hold on
are
to
acting
it. So
up
then
again.
that way...
They need to be dragged home.
You know what?
Maybe I probably.
Whenever I start seeing, like,
They're
you know,
3.5
the cameras
years
and
old.
everything, then I'll start saying, yeah, I noticed this. Suspicious.
So, side note here, but still on the topic of the podcast. So there's a new documentary out on Peacock about what is it, the Lockbox Killers? Anyways, go out and check it out.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yep, yeah, Toolbox Killers. Yeah,
I've heard of
there's
them.
one point where a girl escaped from the van. Like, she got like a couple of steps out, and homie runs by and like socks her in the face, and then turns around and he's like, "Oh, she's just having a PCP trip," and like no one thought But
Like
Anything.
anything differently.
Yeah.
you know?
I was like, oh, okay.
That's
Okay,
just-
back to tennis.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of stuff that goes on with like sex trafficking too. Like they're like told in
So-
their mind if you were to try
yeah.
to like escape or something, all these people know who you are. They'd come for you and they'd attack
Well, and
you.
she claimed when she was asked why she didn't say anything, she claimed that she just didn't want to get involved, which
What is that? I can't remember what it was called. I don't remember the time frame of this, but there was a girl, she was taken and like so it was like this husband and wife and they locked her up in this like wooden box. She had no clothes on. And so they would like she wouldn't do anything to her, but like the husband would, like do things to her and whatnot and then threaten her if she were ever to try to like leave. Like all this stuff would happen to her. People know who she is and all this stuff. And there was like one time where he let her visit her family. And I can't remember how old she was. I think she was like 14, 15. And so he's like, I'll let you visit your families. Because this was like 60s. Okay. Like, a
Right.
lot of times when they're like young teenagers, they run off with their boyfriends and stuff because that's why their parents said that they didn't think anything of it. They just thought like she
Yeah.
ran off with somebody. So when she came back with this man and was like, this is my boyfriend, blah, 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 blah. He's letting me see my family. Like, this is good. Like, he's treating me well.
yeah.
And so he put on a really good show for her family, but then they noticed something was off. And there was like at one point she went to like, they were like at I don't know if it was like a gas station or a restaurant. And there was like this window in the bathroom and something was like just telling her like, just go. And she hopped out of the window and she escaped. But I think they were trying to like have a child because like the wife couldn't conceive. And so they kept trying to have a daughter. And so it kind of makes you wonder like, okay, they were trying to get her pregnant, like get her at an age where they can get her pregnant and they could have her child. Or I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, no, shit like that is fucking wild. Like that happened in real life. I feel like there was like that kidnapping with that girl, and they ended up finding her years and years and years and years later. What was
it
that?
the same one where they like found her where she was living in a tent and like the
In, like, the
person that captured
backyard.
her, his
Yeah.
backyard, and she actually had kids from him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
he got her
remember
pregnant.
who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy one because they found her with like 3 different girls.
Who the fuck was that? What was her name?
They had her on Good Morning America too.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
Can you imagine like hearing about these stories but actually going through something like that, escaping
JC
it and talking
Dugard.
about it? Like that's insane.
It was JC Dugard that happened to. She was kidnapped in 1991 and spent the next 18 years of her life captive by Philip and Nancy Garrido.
like just
and,
being
like, had
brainwashed and then like being told like you have to stay here and like living in a tent and having these kids with the person that captured you and like talking about that's intense.
Yeah, she had like 3 daughters. That's funny, honestly.
Bless you.
Excuse me. But yeah, so basically what happened with this is she was charged for the death of Mary Carpenter. She was faced with the murder and she actually got a life sentence from this.
Well, that's good.
She tried to appeal it a couple times, but I'm pretty sure she ended up dying in prison because she had cirrhosis on her liver. So she died in 2005. So like 15, 16 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, no, so
There are a lot of times that people like roam free after doing stuff like that, which is insane.
Can't believe that, yeah.
Casey Anthony.
well, it's nuts. Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We don't think that she killed her for a fact, but it is heavily implied. But yeah, that's basically my story, is they ended up finding this little girl in a freezer, and I mean, I guess she did get punished, but it just sucks that she didn't get punished for Nima too. George Carter doesn't believe that she did it. I think if he's still alive, still to this day, he doesn't believe she did it. But he does, I think I read somewhere where he does like want to ask her like, hey, did you kill her? Like, did you do it? But he can't now because she's dead. So
It just kind of goes back to my theory of like wondering if there was some sort of like romance there. You know?
I don't know. It never was implied here, so.
You almost wonder if she was involved in 2 killings, though. I don't think 2 husbands make that mistake. Either that or it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's almost.
Like, it would make sense if that didn't happen just a previous year before, and she was already involved in that one. So. But yeah, that's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. You got anything else?
No, that's all I got.
No.
Picking back up my story, we have 1978, Haddonfield, Illinois. Michael Myers has escaped from a mental institute over in Spring Grove.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
He then proceeds to go throughout.
We are ending the
killing
podcast
many
now. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in on Wednesday. Hopefully we will have our episodes done and we will be all caught up. Sorry, that's my bad. I left for a full week because I needed to go rave. But I am
I'm
home
moving.
again. So yeah, and Tawny's moving. So hopefully we will get our episode out on Wednesday. So stay tuned and watch out for that. Not sure what we're doing for it yet, but I guess
See.
you'll have to tune in to find out. So bye.
Bye.